Good evening. Welcome to Shaw Cable's Winter Games Preview. Our sports this evening deals with boxing, basketball, and figure skating. And I would like to welcome Bill Lees next to me here for boxing, Lorne Wuori in the middle for basketball, and Roseanne Marshall across from me in figure skating. Bill, I'll start with you. How did you become involved in boxing for the Winter Games?
I had a phone call from a friend of mine, Alan Stockdale in Vancouver, looking for a chairperson for the boxing. And when Alan worked here with BC Tel, he always was willing to dig in and help me as far as any volunteer work I asked him for. So I put my neck in the noose, and so far I've been enjoying it.
Okay. Lorne, how about you?
Well, I had a call from Don Mills from Basketball BC a couple of years ago saying that basketball was coming to Nelson and would I be interested in doing something? And I said yes, and then I talked to John Schnarr and I said, John, when the basketball comes around, I'd like to be involved in that. And then John phoned me and said, how would you like to be basketball chairman? And I said, okay, so I took on the job.
Okay. And Roseanne, how about you?
Keith Harris, our provincial sports advisor, called and asked if I would be interested in co-chairing it with Judy Fujibayashi, which I consented to do, and here I am.
Okay. And I understand you and Judy are co-chairmen
Right.
of this. Okay. Bill, we were sort of joking a little bit off camera. Your boxing background isn't that extensive?
It's basically negligible, yes. I must admit I watched the odd bit on TV, but
Right.
that's the extent of it.
Do you know the history of your sport in the games? I believe it's been there since the beginning almost, is it not?
Yes, boxing, from what I'm told anyway, from the BC Amateur Boxing Association in Vancouver, is that it's probably one of the most sought after of the sports as far as the spectators are concerned. Mm-hmm. And it's been in the games, I gather, since the beginning.
Yeah, we'll get into the venue in a minute because it's actually an excellent venue in Nelson. Lorne, what about the history of basketball in the games? I believe that goes right to the beginning too, does it not?
Yeah, basketball started out, I believe, Art, when we did it a number of years ago, is in a master's program, and that was people that were 35 and over. And since, I think it was since Trail, that they've moved it down now into the younger ages where all the kids are 14 and under now.
Okay. And Roseanne, what about figure skating? It's been quite popular also.
Figure skating has been very popular, and it's also been with the game since it began 11 years ago.
Okay. Roseanne, what about the venue for figure skating? It's at the arena, obviously.
It's at our present Civic Center, yes.
Any special modifications? I understand there's a sound system that they're putting in. Will that help you people for your...
It'll be much appreciated to have our new sound system. The city purchased this, and it will be augmented with for the components that the Winter Games needs for their opening ceremonies.
Yeah, I understand it'll be quite a impressive sound system that's
Yes,
going
it
in there,
really
which will
sounds
be
quite
well needed
Yes.
down there. Lorne, what about the basketball venue?
It's right at Trafalgar, where I teach, and we haven't made that many changes. What we have gotten is 2 new 30-second clocks, because basically for basketball you need a basketball gymnasium and a basketball and 10 kids and 2 coaches and scorers and timers and have a game.
Okay. Bill, the venue for boxing is actually be an excellent spectator venue.
Yes, we're using the Civic Theater, having to do some modifications, and the crowd, I gather, will be, I think we can seat something like 600 or so in there. Mm-hmm. And we were just discussing it, as a matter of fact, tonight with Mike to make sure that we're going to be able to get the TV cameras on stage, because the ring takes up an awful big piece of the stage itself. But we're looking forward to probably packing the house for all of the bouts.
I've heard also before that it's one of the most popular of the venues, and I just might add too, it's in all your cases, it's a free ticket, so you can go down and watch this free. Is this the first time that boxing has been in a theater, or is this? Do you know?
No, I understand that Fernie had it in a theater layout, and from what I'm told is they had to put 3 TV sets outside so that the overflow crowd could watch it. And it was just sort of a first come, first serve, and that's basically how it will be here in Nelson. Is there won't be tickets sold. It'll be a matter of getting a line up at the door, and as I say, we hope we'll just pack them in for all the 3 events.
Lorne, what about the zone trials? Have they been held yet?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we hosted the zones right at Trafalgar, and it was very unfortunate. It was during that week of a big snowstorm, and we held it on January 13th and 14th, and with teams having to drop out from the East Kootenay due to snow conditions and road conditions, we ended up with just Grand Forks and Trafalgar trying out for the Winter Games. The Grand Forks boys will represent Zone 1 in the Winter Games, and our Trafalgar girls, right here in Nelson, they will represent Zone 1 in the Winter Games.
I understand that your Trafalgar boys played Grand Forks again as an exhibition game and beat them?
They went over to the Midway tournament, and the boys had lost their nervousness, and they beat them by about 25 points, which was unfortunate that they didn't do it during the zone playoffs. Otherwise, we would have had 2 teams from Nelson playing.
What could have been?
What could have been.
Roseanne, what about the figure skating zone playdowns? Where were they?
The zone playdowns were held in Grand Forks in November, and we have one local skater, Lara Lobeck, who will be competing in the intermediate ladies category. And then there are skaters from Trail and New Denver as well, and Fruitvale. Dean Greentree from Fruitvale is competing, and Becky Buchanan from New Denver, Christine Ashman from Trail, and Cynthia Boucher and Deanne Metcalf from Trail as well.
Okay, so we have quite a good local representation going
Yes.
on. Maybe, Roseanne, you can just go over a little bit more the age group involved here. Now, first of all, is figure skating boys and girls, or is it just...
Yes, they're boys and girls,
Okay.
singles events, and there is a dance event, and the age of the skaters are from 13 to 21, and they have to be of amateur status according to the CFSA rules.
Okay. Now, are there any categories within that? Are there novice men, novice ladies? Or
There are juvenile, ladies and men, intermediate, ladies and men, and senior ladies and men. And the dance, there's only one category.
Okay. And we'll get into a little bit more on the setup and what's involved a little later. Maybe you can expand a little more, Lorne, on your age group. You said it was 15 and under?
No, all the kids are going to be 14 and under. Every ball player that's going to be participating during this Winter Games was born in 1975. And that was the rule that was stipulated. So if they were born in 76, they couldn't play. And if they were born in 74, they couldn't play. Okay. And so every kid's going to be under 14 years of age as of the Winter Games.
Okay, I'd like to ask you another question, Lorne, because you and I were involved in trail when it was the Masters, and that's 35 and over, and I believe the ladies was 30 and over.
30 and over.
And it's gone back to a midget or a juvenile age. What's your feeling on that?
Well, it's very interesting for the kids, especially at this age group, because they don't get exposed that much to competition throughout the province, say as junior high ball teams for grade 10 and 11, or senior ball teams in the senior grades, where they're traveling, doing quite a bit of travel. It's also for these kids to develop their skills and an overview, especially now with Basketball BC doing youth select and prep select teams. At this tournament, probably with some of the directors from Basketball BC, they'll be seeing some kids and saying, maybe we should offer them an opportunity to come down to one of the camps and get some further practice and skill development.
Yeah, I understand the format in some of the sports is a development one. Bill, do you know whether boxing has gone that way or not? Like, are the provincial people looking at these boxers coming in, and do they go one step higher if they do well here?
I'm afraid I couldn't answer that.
Okay.
I know they are all passport. They have to carry a passport, and all the records of their wins and losses and their medical history and so on is all got to be up to date before they can participate.
Maybe let's just stop on that for a second. You mentioned medical. I mean, we're dealing with a combative sport here. It's fairly closely regulated, is it not?
Very much so, yes. There's, hopefully anyway, there will be the BC Amateur Boxing Association's own doctor will be here. And if not, we do have 3 doctors that are on board. We have to have 2 doctors on the stage at all times. You know, whether we may have a bleeder or something like that. So we have to have one to cover for the next bout in case there is some difficulty. But it's, the medical people do keep very close. Their hands have to be all checked, no cuts, heart and so on. It's a full medical in the morning of Friday. They have a full medical, they weigh in and do the eye test and all the rest.
So that's all of the competitors?
Yes, all the competitors, and they must pass that before they can, you know, if they've come all the way from Prince George and they don't pass the medical, they aren't going to box. No, they're very careful that way.
It's you know, some of the stories you hear from the club, you know, some of the old club boxing clubs, and it certainly wasn't that way in the past. What age group will be involved here?
We're looking at from 13 to as old as 35, but on the list that I've seen for the 8 zones, about 24, 22, 24 seems to be the top. There's quite a number in that 14, 15, 16 age bracket.
And of course there, it's not necessarily an age in boxing, but it's more in weight.
Yes.
So it's possible that a 30-year-old is fighting a 20-year-old.
Yes, by the look of it, that would be possible, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Roseanne mentioned that there was you know, novice and that group. Do they rank boxing that way, or is it just that you're in a certain, if you're in the light heavyweight, you're here to fight anybody on the card? Or
no, from what I can see of it, and as I said, I'm not that familiar with it. There are the sort of juniors and an intermediate and a senior, so that I don't imagine they put a 14-year-old at 140 pounds in against a fellow who's been boxing for 10 years at 140 pounds. So,
also, how is the figure skating tournament going to be set up, Roseanne? What kind of format?
Well, the skaters are in their divisions, like the juveniles, intermediates, and seniors, and then they will skate their individual program and be judged on technical and artistic merit, and the judges award them points from 0 to 6 and variations in between, tenths in between, and then the accounting system follows up and they get their winner.
Okay. Do they, I know about figure skating from watching it on TV. Do they do figures?
Not
in
at
the
this
Winter
competition,
Games?
it's strictly a free skate.
Okay. And is it one free skate that they're judged on?
One free skate.
Okay. And
Either
it's
2.5 or 3 minutes, depending on the level that they're skating at.
And there are certain aspects of it that the judges want to see, is it? Or
That's
is it
right.
up to
There
you?
are prescribed elements that they must have in their program with connecting steps and done artistically to music.
Okay. How are you going to share the Civic Center with the hockey?
Well, we've worked that out quite well. The figure skaters practice from 6 a.m. on Friday till 1 o'clock, and then the hockey will take over from 1 till whenever they finish on Friday evening.
Okay.
And then they start again on Saturday at 6 and go till noon, and then we have it on Saturday from noon till we're finished, which will probably be about 10:30 Saturday evening. And that
So
is
from
our
6 o'clock in the morning till 10:30 in the evening, if you walk to the Civic Center, you'll either get a hockey game or a figure
or a
skating.
figure skating event, right?
Okay. Lauren, what's the tournament format for basketball?
Okay, it's every team's guaranteed 3 games, and it starts Friday morning, 8 o'clock, and games are scheduled every hour and 15 minutes. It goes 2 boys games, then 2 girls games, and so on, and until we finally have an elimination, all the way down to those that have not lost, right down to the gold medal games, which will be on Sunday, and they'll start at 9:15 in the morning, and then we'll have our gold and silver medals. Winner gets the gold, silver goes to the loser. Every team at least gets 3 games.
Okay. And you share the same venue, Trafalgar. And again, if you go there at any time during the day, the ticket's free, and you can watch some pretty good basketball.
Anytime. I'll probably be going morning, noon, and early on into the evening, maybe right up until about 10 o'clock. There's 8 boys teams and 8 girls teams. And these teams really try to make it to the Winter Games because it's an excellent competition for them.
Okay. We're going to take a break now, and we'll be back in just a second. I'm here with Roseanne Marshall, Lorne Wuori, and Bill Lees. Bill, what about the tournament set up for boxing?
Yes, we'll be having the weigh-ins on Friday morning from 8 till 9:30, and then they have the tournament draw where they pick for who will be boxing against who, and that's from 9:30 to 10:45. And then there's no boxing takes place until Friday night at 7:30. It'll be the preliminaries will be 7:30 to 10:30, and then on Saturday we start again at 4:30 in the afternoon. Excuse me, we start at. I've lost that one now. We're finished at 4:30,
Okay.
so it'll be 1:30 to 4:30 on Saturday afternoon, and that's the preliminary, the semifinals, and then the finals themselves are from 7:30 to 10:30 on Saturday night.
So each boxer, if he goes all the way, will have 3 fights?
Yes.
And it's the luck of the draw whether he picks his main competition, the first fight or the third fight.
Right. Yeah.
Again, what are the age groups of these people?
They'll be running, the ones that I've got listed now are from 13 to about 24 years of age.
Okay.
And we do our presentations for medals a little differently than Lorne was mentioning. On Saturday night, with the final bouts, there will be a medal presentation after each bout. Okay. So we wind up Saturday night at about 10:30 or 11 o'clock, depending on how long it takes.
Boxing's a little different in the bronze medal presentation. Are there 2 bronze medals, or how do you come to a bronze medal? Because there's 2 semifinal bouts, and the winners of each go to the gold medal bout. So what do you do about the bronze medal?
That I haven't seen presented yet.
Okay.
We have a trial run coming up within the next week, so I'll be able to.
Yeah, I would just think of watching it on the Olympics because you have the semis. You probably.
I think
have
in Dawson Creek they presented in the semifinals. The losers both got the bronze.
Both got the bronze medal. Yeah. What about behind the scenes when these fights are going on? There's quite a bit going on behind. Is there a place for warm-ups, or there's taping and medical, and what goes on behind the scenes of boxing?
Well, that's one of our problems at the venue we have, the facilities. We don't have a lot of room for them to warm up, so we've got them off in the one wing of the stage area. And also the library has been very cooperative, and they are moving a bunch of equipment in the storage room at the back, so the fellows will have a place to do a bit of skipping and shadow boxing and so on. And the rest of them will have to be warming up down in the mezzanine area above the badminton hall. So it's a little tight quarters, but I'm sure we'll be able to put it together.
Now, is it the luck of the draw on who fights first, weight class, or is that set up beforehand?
That'll be all set up by the BC Boxing Association when they arrive here.
And what's the heaviest? Is it a heavyweight, or they have the super heavyweight in the Winter Games?
Just heavyweight,
Just
I believe.
heavyweight.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a wide open competition.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a look now at just some of the local minor programs because I think that's quite important in this whole thing. The Winter Games are only once a year, and it's the minor programs that a lot of these athletes. What's the state of figure skating in Nelson, Roseanne? Quite an active club.
Excuse me, our club is very active. It starts at the Tiny Tot program, which we offer during school hours for mums and tots, and then we have a can skate program, which is a beginner program, and it goes into a can figure skate program, and they can remain at this level as a recreational type sport, or they can choose to advance to our intermediate and senior program, which then takes on the Canadian Figure Skating Association test program.
Okay, and there's How many coaches would be involved in the in figure skating in Nelson right now?
We just have one paid professional at the
Okay.
present time.
And probably a whole bunch of volunteers.
Yes,
like,
our senior skaters are junior coaches, and they help out on a scheduled basis in the junior programs.
And I understand, was it last year that some of the local skaters did very good at the provincial level? Was it Patty Osterkoff that was
Patty,
yeah.
Patty competed at
the Winter Games, was it?
BC provincial
Provincials.
skate-offs in trail last year.
Okay. And I
And
understand.
Rosemary Cerrone skated in Winter Games last
Right,
year.
yes. And if I remember correctly, Rosemary went down to take a look at ice capades to...
Yes, she's interested in
yeah.
becoming,
a
taking
line.
skating as
Yeah.
a career for
Career.
herself and working at
Kind of
that.
exciting.
in that
So the
direction.
program is developing some very good young skaters.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. We've had many at the competitive level skating nationally and in shows.
What would be the cost for a beginner, let's say, in the, you know, obviously the skates are very expensive, but what is the cost just
Well,
to
the
join
Can
club?
Skate program gives our skaters an hour and a half a week skating for 26 weeks for $120. And this includes the ice time with your professional coaching.
Okay, so that's...
And then it goes on up from there,
Right.
depending on the amount of skating that the intermediates and seniors want to
Okay.
use. They can skate from anything from 6 to 12 hours a week. And then,
And of course, somebody has to pay for the ice time
Yes.
and the coach's time. Lorne, I know you've been involved a lot of years with minor basketball. What's the health of it in Nelson? We had your team just about make the Zone 1, but other than that, what's it like?
Well, I think basketball in Nelson has really come a long way in the last number of years. I know at the elementary schools with the mini basketball program, not only in the grade 4, 5, and 6 area, where we're seeing them as being a feeder school to our school at Trafalgar. We have quite a number of grade 7 students that come to us from the elementary schools that have already been to 1 or 2 summer camps, development camps, and some of these kids have excellent basic fundamental skills and have developed quite well. The group of grade 7s that we have this year are going to be very tough next year to beat in the Winter Games, I think. Brad Letham, who's the coach of the grade 8 girls basketball team at Trafalgar, who did qualify, his group of girls, in one game, they put 79 points on the board for a grade 8 girls basketball team. That's a lot of baskets to put in. If our grade 8 boys would have been able to shoot quite as well, they would have been in there too.
Do you find the Winter Games, particularly here in Nelson, is a major selling point for your program?
Well, the funny part about it is after Brad's team had qualified, the kids went, darn, we don't get to go anywhere, we don't get to travel. And but they thought it was really neat, and I really hope that it's going to help our total program, not only for the kids that are going to be coming into Trafalgar from the elementary schools, but the students that are at our school right now are seeing it, will see it as being, let's move it along, and LVR is being very successful right now,
Yeah.
both at their senior boys and their junior boys programs. Now we have to get LVR's girls programs to step up a notch.
Bill, is there any minor boxing in the area? You know, it's obviously not as high profile a sport as the basketball or the figure skating, but is there a boxing club in Nelson?
No, there's no boxing club now. Mike Price used to run Duhamel Boxing Club, and it sort of folded up very quietly about 10 years ago. I understand Trail is trying to get a boxing club back into action again now, and it's just in the last, well, I think probably since last summer. The closest active boxing club is in Cranbrook, and they do have, I believe it's 4 fellows that are coming over for Winter Games.
Cranbrook, I know a little bit about the background of that club, as a matter of fact, and they've been, for at least 20 to 30 years that I know of, have been very, very successful. I boxed a little bit as a kid. Do you find that when you tell people that you're involved in the boxing part of the Winter Games, that it's a little bit of negativism because of the whole aspect of boxing, the trying to beat somebody to a pulp? Do you ever get that feeling with people?
I haven't so far. I was a little surprised that it was such a well-attended sport, but even in Nelson, the people that I've talked with have all sort of felt, well, it'd be kind of nice to see something like that,
Right.
and I think it will probably be a good show. It's not really quite a knock 'em down, drag 'em out type of street brawl fighting. It's a very technical. The gloves they have an area that you can hit with, and if you don't, then you don't get any points, and if you hit the wrong way, you lose points. So
Yes.
it's more a skill rather than just a brutal beating sort of idea.
And you know, obviously, as we were talking early on in the show, that when we take a look at something that is policed as well, with your medical people, and these young athletes have to be in good shape. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. We have a couple minutes left. First of all, just a couple quick questions. Bill, for you, how are you getting your officials, and where are they coming from?
The BC Amateur Boxing Association provide all the official forms, as I mentioned, like the passports, and they even bring a recording secretary for us, because they're interested in making sure that if there's some really excellent boxer coming up through the ranks, they want to keep track of him and make sure he heads the right direction. So they look after all the officiating, so we don't have to have an inexperienced person trying to be a referee. They bring their referees with them. And
So that takes quite a load off your committee when trying
oh,
to...
definitely,
Yeah.
yes. So long as we have the site set up and the ring set up properly, they will look after making sure the program itself, as they call it, the program will go off with no hitches. They guarantee me that. So.
Okay. Lauren, where's the referees coming from for basketball?
Well, the
We have about
referees
a
are coming.
minute.
Yeah, the referees are coming from all the different zones, and they're being supplied by the provincial body. All the minor officials, I had to get volunteers for, and first thing I did is I headed out to all those coaches at the high school and said, I need your help, I need your ball players, and I got all their ball players to be the minor bench officials. We've made some minor adjustments, and we're introducing a possession arrow rather than jump ball to speed up time, and 30-second clocks and scorekeepers, and we have game directors, and we're going to put on a good show.
Okay. Roseanne, we have about 30 seconds. Where are your officials coming
Our
from?
officials are appointed by our provincial body, and they use what local people that are qualified in the zone, the local league, Zone 1, if at all possible.
Okay. I'd like to thank Bill, Lauren, and Roseanne for being on the show this evening, and good luck in your various sports. I know you'll do a great job. Just a reminder that 619 Vernon Street, if you want to volunteer for the Winter Games, they're still looking for a lot of people down there. 352-1919, they're open every day. If you want to go down in person, it's right across from the Nelson Hotel. Until next week, my name's Art Maxwell. Good night.